before I carry on with the review, I need you in the comments below to let me know what is your top, let's say, 3 vampire movies of all time. Rank them for me. I'm gonna say mine is probably Interview with the Vampire.
I want some more.
30 Days of Night.
That cold ain't the weather. That's death approaching.
And The Lost Boys.
Help me! Stay back! Stay back! Help me! My own brother, a vampire. You wait till mom finds out, buddy.
Let me know below. Let's jump into the review. After a group of criminals kidnap the ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, they retreat to an isolated mansion, unaware that they are locked inside with no normal little girl. Starring Melissa Beret as Joey, Dan Stevens as Frank, Alyssa Ware as Abigail, William Catlett as Nicolas, Catherine Newton as Sammy, Kevin Durand as Peter, Angus Cloud as Dean, and Gino Carlo Esposito as Lambert. So coming from the directors of Matt Bellatini, Alplin, and Tyler Gillett, who gave us Scream 6, and Ready or Not.
Jesus, you shot the maid!
I loved Ready or Not. I've seen that a few times now.
Found her.
And I thought Scream 6 was a nice addition to the Scream franchise. I was excited to see the goal level would be in this film.
Just really enjoying it.
And whether the story would hold out with what the marketing amongst the trailers and clips have been giving us. Now, off the bat, I think they missed a step by showing us what the main villain in the story was actually about. There are 2 types of movies in here, not quite like From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place!
When we have that thriller kidnapping and then turns into just crazy vampire.
Welcome to slavery.
No thanks. I already had a wife.
It's not quite that, but it has a similar vibe. Now, if you in trailer marketing show just the thriller part and you allow the audience to discover the craziness at the end, I think that would have made people much more appreciate it, unless people start spoiling on the internet and stuff. And it's your job to kind of avoid that sort of stuff. So that's just like kind of a niggle that I had. But for the most part, I thought this played out well. The actors that we have in here, Dan Stevens, who plays Frank, I think he's the sort of leader of the gang. They get called to do a job to kidnap this girl, and Abigail is that girl, and she's obviously more than what it seems. Then we have a very similar kind of premise in one location in a house. And if you've seen the trailers, you know they can't escape that house. And then it's when the gore and blood ensues and them trying to survive the night.
No one said it was a kid. She didn't know that they were going to kidnap a 12-year-old girl.
It's the gore that I stayed for and laughed a lot and had big smiles on my face for. We're talking about old school horror. Like I was talking to my wife in the car. It's the sort of film that doesn't have a huge budget to do CG or VFX, that sort of thing, but they have loads of buckets of body parts and blood and explode that all over the camera, literally on the camera lens at times. There's a lot of blood and gore, which is why it's an 18 here in the UK at least. I think the fun lasts as long as the action is going on. There's a little bit of exposition about who they are through monologues of other characters explaining who they are without doing spoilers. And I think that's fine. It gives us a little bit more insight to the characters. But you don't really care too much about the characters. And I think that's okay. We're given enough to kind of know who they are. And then we're rooting for one particular character that I think most would do because they give us enough to go, okay, we want that person to survive because... And so you're hoping that they do. You kind of get close to some of the others and you'll be a little bit upset when some of them get taken out. It's how the viciousness of the kills are done, I think, that you'll enjoy if you love this sort of film. If you liked what the directors have done previously, I think you're going to be in for quite a fun ride. Now, one of the things that this film does really well is it keeps ramping it up rather than leaving us on a kind of anti-climax. There's a lot of horrors that do this. Build up, give us some action scenes, and then the end, it doesn't quite give it what you want. This film keeps ramping it up, and then at the end even gives you some surprises. You thought you'd seen them all, and it keeps going. I like that. Very simple premise. The surprises at the end, I'm hoping that nobody spoils for everybody else, especially connection to something else. There is no end credit scene in this, but there's a little laugh from right at the end, just as a little nod, I guess.
Because I actually love all of this happening. Like, I would wear all of this in my real life.
The way it's filmed is sometimes very close, medium range, showing the horror. But then every now and again, the directors will give us a wide shot with the cinematographer that they have, showing the kind of landscape of where the actors have to kind of survive in between each room, between each kind of grand stairwell. The aesthetics of it feels very old and timey-wimey, like there could be secrets behind shelving doors and rooms and, you know,
A lot to see here, folks.
walls within walls.
This is Abigail's room.
Has that feel with it, and the score with that sort of claustrophobia shots that we have sometimes helps to, I guess, elevate and keep you in that intensity until the action is there. Now the first 40 minutes of the film probably is them setting up the craziness that's to come. And I think I enjoyed it for the most part, but I was just waiting for the mayhem to start. And when it does, it doesn't let go. It just keeps going and ramping it up, and in the end you feel somewhat satisfied. Now, if I were to rank those three films, the director's work with those three films in mind, the recent ones, you have Ready or Not, and you have Scream 6 and Abigail. I'll probably put Abigail in the middle there. I still think Ready or Not is their best one that they've done recently.
A game. What game? Hide and seek? Are we really going to play that?
Then Abigail, and then Scream 6. So it kind of gives you an idea of the sort of tempo and flow. I would have liked some more bone crunching brokenness, more showcasing the power of the big bad. We see a little bit of it, and there's a few like bodies being thrown away, but because we're saturated in a world of this particular lore, of this creature, there's so much of it that we kind of know what they do and what they don't do.
Notice anything unusual about Santa Carla yet?
It's a pretty cool place. If you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
So when you do go big and crazy, the thing that they do get well in this is the gore. But I wanted to see more of like arm snapping, being ripped off, sort of from Dusk to Dawn level. We get there, but not like at the level I was expecting. So for the most part, I think this is a really fun time. I definitely will watch it again. Don't think it's the best vampire film I've ever seen, but it certainly was a wild ride, and I loved what the cast got to do with it. Everybody involved in this film seemed like they had a really great time in this project. And, you know, if you love a gory, tongue-in-cheek sort of a film that really embraces what it is and doesn't take itself too seriously, then you're really going to enjoy this. I think this was good. I'm going to give it, I was thinking about 3.5, but because of the enjoyment I had, I'm going to stick it in the 4 category. So 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one.
Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.